Welcome to the Blender Intro tutorial 2. Okay, in this tutorial we're going to get rid of our monkey and we are going to add our cube in. Now, with our cube at the moment, we've seen that we can change its shape by scaling along different axes, but it will still keep the basic sort of shape that it has, in that if I scale it on the Z-axis, I get a rectangle, but it's still basically the same sort of shape. I'm not really dramatically changing it from that rough shape. So if I want to do further changes to an object, often I have to change from the mode to edit mode. Now, this is our mode set up here. Now, today we're going to be looking at edit mode in this tutorial. So we're in object mode and we can go to edit mode. Now, there's two ways of getting there. One is we come up here and we click edit mode. The other way is we just press tab. So if you toggle the tab key, you toggle between object and edit. Now you'll know you're in edit mode when you have these little lines going through the actual shape. Now there's three little squares here that we're going to have a look at. This one is our vertex mode. Now vertices are basically corners where different edges meet. So that is a vertex. Alright, so that means there's an edge, and an edge meeting, and where the two join, that's a vertex. Where two or more join is a vertex. Now this is edge mode, so when I click on that, I'm just getting the edge, so I can select just an edge. When I click on that, I am selecting the faces. Now you can actually hold shift down and have them all there at once if you want. But I tend to work one at a time. So let's just consider, now I've just pressed A. A selects all. If I press it twice quickly, it will deselect all. So when it goes all grey, nothing is selected. But if I click on one, that's selected. Now if I go to my move tool, alright, and I grab that, you can see it's actually changed now the shape of my cube because I've moved that vertex out. So I could maybe grab that one as well. I might move that way. Alright, so that's moving individual vertices, but I may also want to move an edge. So if I click on that, that gives me a whole edge, and I can move that whole edge. Or maybe I want to move a face. So if I go click on that, that allows me to select a face. Go grab one of those, and I can move that face. I can even move by holding down shift and clicking another one. I've got two faces selected now. So if I press grab, for example, it's now moving those two faces and changing my shape quite a lot. Now some faces start to not make sense because they're overlapping each other like that. So you have to be a little bit careful. Excuse me. Careful of this. Alright, now I'm going to show you a cool little trick here, and this is really cool. So I want you to have a go at doing this while we're doing it. We're going to click on a face, just one face. And we're going to extrude. Now there's a couple of ways of doing that. We can extrude with this button here, and you can see there's a little arrow button down here. We can do all sorts of interesting things here, but we're just going to extrude the region. And what that does is when we extrude, and I'm in that mode, when I click on something, I can basically make a new shape out of it. Now there's a shortcut key for that, so if I turn off that mode, go back to say grab mode, select that, I can just press E and it will extrude as well. And you can do a range of different shapes by just making up all sorts of different shapes out of these. Now I've just grabbed that, but if I press E, I can now extrude out another shape. So my mesh is now massively more complicated than it was back when I just had it as a cube. Now I have a very, very complicated shape. So that's extruding. It uses a range of different methods. Now if I go back to my object mode, here's my new shape. I might go to my render mode, and there we are. Now it's a geometric shape, and there's a certain amount of limitations as to what we can do with a geometric shape like this. Sometimes you want to have more vertices to choose from. So if I go back to edit mode, one of the tricks I can do, if I'm going to go back to vertex select mode, One of the tricks we can do is a thing called doing edge loops, and another one is subdividing. Now, subdividing I can do by just right clicking on it, and if you find subdivide, what it will do is it's not subdivided anything because I didn't have anything selected. You have to tell it what you want to subdivide. So I'm going to select all. So pressed A once, right click, subdivide. Now you can see that the subdivide, each of those shapes, it is subdivided into more shapes. Now when you click on here, you can change the amount of subdivisions. Now that means that my shape is now much more complex. So if I grab this little bit here, I can, do more with that. I can, I might select a few faces here, and then if I extrude those, okay, so I'm getting interesting little things happening here. All right. Now, one of the problems with extruding is when you do extrude, you are increasing the complexity of the shape, and that will increase the amount of time it takes to render. So the more of these you have, so if I do something very silly like this and go right click, subdivide, and turn that to say 40 or something, and it's going to take a long time. And so I've got lots and lots of little subdivisions in there. Now what that means is those subdivisions are all there. There's one of them, and it's lagging down my computer, even though my computer's pretty fast. So I got far too many subdivisions in that. So we're going to get rid of that. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this whole thing because it's taking too long. So I'm just going to delete that. So that's one of the problems with any 3D modeling, is the more subdivisions you have, the longer it will take to render anything. All right, and that's subdivision. All right, and that's going to be very, very important in our next tutorial, which is about sculpt mode, which is really cool. Okay, so what I want you to do is stop this, have a bit of a play with those techniques, and when you finish that, go on to the next tutorial.